Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here with you today in this moment as we talk about something that touches all of our lives, worry. Let me ask you, how many of you have ever felt overwhelmed, like there's too much on your plate, like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? I know I have. In fact, I'm sure we all have moments where it feels like everything is falling apart. We want to control things, to fix everything, to make it all right. But here's the truth, there's only so much we can control. And when we focus on the things we can't, that's when the worry sets in. We live in a world that tells us we need to have it all figured out, our careers, our relationships, our health. The pressure to get everything right, to control the outcome of every situation is overwhelming. But let me tell you something, there's a power in letting go. There's a freedom in trusting that not everything is ours to control. Imagine if you could release the need to control everything. Imagine if you could stop worrying about things you can't change and instead focus on the things you can, like your attitude, your choices, your inner peace. That's where the magic happens. Now, I know it's not always easy. There are times when life feels like it's spinning out of control, but the truth is there's a beauty in surrendering the need for control. Because when we let go, we make room for faith. We make room for peace. We make room for trust. And trust doesn't mean you just sit back and do nothing. Trust means you show up. Trust means you take the next step with the knowledge that you don't have to have all the answers right now. It means you stop beating yourself up for not having everything figured out, and you trust that what is meant for you will come in its own time. The beauty of this journey is that while we don't have control over every circumstance, we do have control over how we respond to them. The way we choose to show up each day, how we decide to care for ourselves, and how we remain open to the lessons that life is trying to teach us. But here's the thing, this is a practice. It's something you have to work on daily. And when you face challenges, as we all do, remember that it's okay to feel uncertainty. It's okay to let go of your need for perfection. You can rest in the knowledge that you don't have to do it all by yourself. You know, I've witnessed so many incredible transformations in people's lives when they decide to trust and stop worrying. One person chooses faith over fear, and suddenly they see possibilities they never imagined. Another decides to release what they cannot change, and in doing so, they step into a life of true peace. So let me leave you with this: stop worrying about what you cannot control. Trust that everything will unfold in its time, as it should. Trust in the journey, trust in your strength, and trust that you are exactly where you need to be right now. You deserve peace, you deserve freedom, and you deserve to live without the weight of worry. Let go, breathe, and know that everything will be okay. Trust that the best is yet to come. We all know what it's like to worry. Life has a way of throwing challenges at us, big and small, that can leave us feeling overwhelmed, uncertain, and anxious. It's a universal experience, whether you're facing a personal setback, a health issue, financial stress, or simply navigating the unknown. Worrying about what could go wrong can consume us. In those moments, it feels as though our minds are racing, running through all the worst-case scenarios, imagining every possible outcome that might bring disappointment or hurt. Worrying is something many of us try to fight. Yet we often find ourselves caught in a cycle, spiraling into anxiety. It's like being trapped in a cage of our own thoughts. We tell ourselves to stop, to breathe, to trust, but the fear of what might happen next keeps us tethered to that worry. And it's exhausting. Worrying doesn't make things better, but somehow we feel like we need to do it in order to prepare for the worst, to gain some semblance of control over the situation. But here's the thing, it's okay to acknowledge that worrying is part of being human. We all do it, and it's important to be compassionate with ourselves when we fall into it. Sometimes life's uncertainties are just too much to ignore, and that's when worry shows up. It's a natural, instinctive reaction to the unknown. It's our way of trying to protect ourselves, to anticipate problems before they arise, as if by worrying we can somehow avoid pain or failure. And yet, no matter how much we worry, the truth is we can't control everything. Life will unfold on its own terms, and sometimes the more we try to manage every aspect, the more stressed and anxious we become. Recognizing this struggle is the first step in realizing that worrying, while natural, doesn't have to dictate our lives. It's not about pretending that everything is fine or that we should just ignore our concerns. Instead, it's about finding a way to manage our worries so they don't control us. The desire to control everything is something many of us can relate to. We often think that if we just have a handle on every situation, if we can predict the outcome and manage the details, then everything will be okay. It gives us a sense of safety and certainty, something to hold on to when the world feels unpredictable. The idea that if we just plan enough, prepare enough, or try hard enough, we can make things turn out the way we want. We believe that control is the key to happiness and peace. But here's the reality: we can't control everything. No matter how much we try, there are countless variables in life that are simply beyond our influence. Relationships, health, the future, these are areas that can change in the blink of an eye, and no amount of worry or planning will prevent that. The more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, and ultimately exhaustion. The burden of control is heavy. It's like carrying around an invisible weight on your shoulders, always trying to stay one step ahead, always feeling like you need to have everything figured out. It's exhausting to constantly feel like you're fighting against the current, as if the universe is conspiring against your plans. When we hold on so tightly to the need for control, we become afraid of the unknown, of the things we can't foresee or manipulate. We become anxious, stressed, and drained. In fact, the more we try to control, the less in control we actually feel. It's paradoxical: the tighter we grip, the more out of our hands things seem to slip. The truth is, control is an illusion. While we can control our actions, our decisions, and our responses, we can't control the outcomes of every situation. And when we try to, we end up not only hurting ourselves, but also preventing ourselves from experiencing life fully. We miss out on the flow of life, on its unpredictability, its beauty, and its surprises. Trying to control everything also means that we don't trust the process of life. We don't trust that things will unfold as they should. Even if it's not according to our plan, we begin to doubt that the universe, or whatever higher power we believe in, has our back. Instead, we become hyper-focused on every possible scenario, every risk, every worst-case outcome. This constant striving for control is draining emotionally, mentally, and physically. It takes a toll on our well-being, our relationships, and our peace of mind. The more we try to manage everything, the more we create tension within ourselves. The weight of control becomes too much to carry, and we realize that letting go is not only a choice, but also a path to true freedom. There is something incredibly freeing about the act of letting go. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? We are conditioned to think that in order to succeed, to feel safe, to navigate life's challenges, we must hold on tightly to everything: our plans, our expectations, our dreams, and sometimes even people. We grip these things so tightly, believing that if we let go, we might lose control, or worse, lose ourselves. But here's the truth: letting go is not about losing anything, it's about gaining so much more. When we let go of the need to control everything, we open ourselves to possibilities that we may not have even considered before. It's like releasing the reins and allowing the journey to unfold on its own, with all of its twists and turns. In that release, we make space for new experiences, for growth, for things we could never have predicted. Letting go isn't giving up, it's embracing the flow of life, trusting that whatever happens is meant to happen, even if we can't see the bigger picture at the moment. The power of letting go lies in the freedom it brings. It's the freedom from constant worry, from the burden of needing to figure everything out, from the fear of failure. It's a lightness that comes from not carrying around the weight of things you cannot control. Instead of trying to manipulate every situation, letting go allows you to surrender to what is, to accept the present moment as it is without trying to force an outcome. Letting go also means releasing old beliefs, habits, and patterns that no longer serve us. So often, we hold on to things, negative thoughts, past hurts, fears, or limiting ideas because they've become part of our identity. We fear that without them, we will be lost or unmoored. But when we let go of these attachments, we create space for new beliefs, healthier habits, and a more positive outlook on life. We allow ourselves the grace to evolve and transform. There's also a deep sense of trust involved in letting go, trusting that everything will unfold in its own time, trusting that the universe or a higher power has a plan for us, even if it's not what we expected. It's an act of faith, of believing that we don't need to micromanage every detail. When we let go, we trust that we are being guided, and that, even in moments of uncertainty, we are exactly where we need to be. And the beauty of letting go is that it doesn't require us to do anything extraordinary. Sometimes it's as simple as taking a deep breath, releasing the tension in our bodies, and saying to ourselves, I don't need to control this. It's a practice, one that gets easier the more we embrace it. Letting go is not about abandoning responsibility, but rather about choosing where to focus our energy and deciding not to waste it on things that are out of our hands. By letting go, we become more in tune with ourselves and the world around us. We stop fighting the current of life and start moving with it, trusting that it will carry us to where we need to be. Letting go is an act of liberation, a step toward inner peace. When we let go, we give ourselves the permission to simply be free from the expectations, the pressures, and the constant need to control. We allow life to unfold as it will, with all of its beauty, uncertainty, and grace. Trusting in a higher power is one of the most transformative acts of faith we can make. It's about surrendering the illusion that we as individuals must bear the weight of every decision and every outcome. When we place our trust in something greater than ourselves, something that transcends our limited understanding and control, we tap into a profound sense of peace. We stop trying to orchestrate every detail of our lives and instead allow ourselves to be carried by a force that knows more than we can ever imagine. In life, we often feel like we're pulled in 100 different directions, overwhelmed by things we can't control, other people's actions, the world around us, the outcomes of situations we have no power over. It's easy to get caught up in trying to manage everything, but here's the truth: there is so much in life that is beyond our control. And as much as we may wish it were otherwise, trying to control everything outside of ourselves only leads to frustration and burnout. But here's the good news: there is so much that is within your control. And when we start focusing on that, on the things we can influence, we start to shift our energy and our mindset in a more positive direction. We can control how we respond to the world around us. We can control our attitudes, our choices, and our actions. In fact, the power to shape our lives lies in how we show up every single day, in the decisions we make, and in how we choose to react to challenges and opportunities alike. It's easy to feel powerless when things aren't going the way we want them to. But what we often forget is that we have the power to decide how we navigate through the ups and downs of life. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can control how you engage with them. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you dress or how you plan your day. You can't control the outcome of a situation, but you can control the effort and intention you put into it. These choices are where your power lies. The most important thing you can control is your mindset. How you think about yourself and the world around you can make all the difference. Do you approach challenges with a mindset of possibility, or do you immediately expect defeat? Do you see obstacles as opportunities to grow, or do you see them as roadblocks? The way you view the world will determine how you experience it, and that is entirely in your control. You have the ability to choose your perspective, to choose how you respond to the good and the bad. Another area where you have control is in the way you set your boundaries. Boundaries are a crucial part of self-respect, and they help protect your energy and mental health. You can control how much you give to others, how much you take on, and when it's time to say no. You don't have to accept every request, attend every event, or try to please everyone around you. By setting boundaries that align with your values and priorities, you create the space for what truly matters to you. And this too is something entirely in your control. Time is another thing you can control. While you can't slow down time or make it stop, you have control over how you spend it. You can prioritize what's important to you, focus on the tasks that move you forward, and decide what you want to invest your time and energy into. The way you manage your time can have a profound impact on your sense of accomplishment and peace of mind. Are you spending time on things that truly matter to you, or are you giving your precious energy to things that drain you? So the next time you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by things outside your control, pause and ask yourself, what can I control in this moment? Shift your focus to the things that you can influence. Take a breath and remember that you have the power to choose your actions, your mindset, and your response. That is where your strength lies. Faith is one of the most powerful gifts we can possess. It's the belief that no matter what we face, there is something greater than ourselves guiding us through the ups and downs of life. It's the assurance that even in the darkest moments, there is a purpose and a plan unfolding that we may not always understand, but we trust is leading us to where we need to be. Faith is not just a belief in something beyond our comprehension, it's the trust in the unseen, the hope that there's more to life than what meets the eye, and the confidence that we are not alone. Having faith gives us a sense of security and peace. Life is unpredictable, and there are times when we feel uncertain, afraid, or lost. In those moments, faith is what anchors us. It reminds us that even though the road may be hard, we are not walking it by ourselves. Faith allows us to take one step forward when everything inside us is screaming to give up. Because we know that we are being supported by something bigger than our fears, our doubts, or our circumstances. It's the belief that the challenges we face are not just random or meaningless, but that there is growth, wisdom, and strength to be gained through them. Faith also provides us with hope, especially when things seem impossible. It is in the moments of struggle, when the odds are stacked against us, that faith becomes a lifeline. When we feel like we have reached our limits, faith is the belief that there is more waiting for us, more strength, more opportunities, more possibilities. It encourages us to hold on, to keep moving forward, even when we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Faith is the belief that something better is on the other side of the challenge, even if we can't yet see how it will unfold. One of the most beautiful aspects of faith is that it doesn't require us to have all the answers or to be in control. It's the surrendering of our need for certainty and the willingness to trust in the unknown. It's an invitation to let go of the burden of figuring everything out and instead rest in the knowledge that there is a higher power or force that is guiding us. Faith allows us to release the need to control the future and instead embrace the present moment, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. It's the freedom of knowing that even in the most uncertain times, we can rely on faith to carry us through. Faith also transforms our perspective. It shifts the way we see the world around us. When we trust that there is a greater purpose behind everything, we start to see life through the lens of possibility rather than limitation. Challenges become opportunities for growth, setbacks become lessons, and even failures become stepping stones to success. Faith allows us to see beyond the surface, to understand that there is a divine timing and purpose to everything, even if we don't understand it at the moment. It's like having a broader vision of the world, where we are able to connect the dots between experiences and recognize the underlying threads of meaning. The gift of faith also deepens our resilience. When life doesn't go according to plan, it's easy to become discouraged, but faith encourages us to persevere, to keep going even when we don't know what's coming next. It gives us the strength to stand tall in the face of adversity, to face each day with hope in our hearts. Faith helps us bounce back from setbacks, knowing that every challenge is temporary and that better days are ahead. It reminds us that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by how we respond to them. With faith, we find the courage to rise above our fears and limitations. In addition to providing inner strength, faith also brings connection. When we have faith, we are not isolated in our struggles. Faith binds us together with others who share similar beliefs and experiences, creating a sense of community and support. It's a reminder that we are all in this journey together, and that by leaning on each other and on our shared faith, we can move through life's challenges with greater grace and strength. Faith helps us see the humanity in others, and it encourages compassion, kindness, and understanding. The gift of faith also nurtures a sense of gratitude. When we trust that everything is happening for a reason, even the hard times, it becomes easier to appreciate the small moments of joy and beauty in life. We begin to see that life is not about avoiding challenges or striving for perfection, but about embracing the journey with an open heart. Faith teaches us to be grateful for the lessons, the opportunities for growth, and the moments of peace that come our way, even in the midst of struggle. Finally, faith is the ultimate source of peace. When we place our trust in something greater than ourselves, we release the need to control, the fear of the unknown, and the worry about what might happen next. Faith allows us to rest in the knowledge that everything is unfolding as it should. It reminds us that no matter what we face, we are not alone, and we are always being held in a space of love and support. The gift of faith brings us a deep, unshakable peace that transcends our circumstances and reminds us that in the end, everything will be okay. Faith is more than a belief. It is a way of living, a way of being that brings us strength, resilience, hope, and peace. It allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace, to trust in the unseen, and to move through the world with a sense of purpose and calm. It is the gift that carries us when we are tired, lifts us when we are down, and reminds us that no matter where we are never alone. Acceptance holds a transformative power that many of us overlook in our daily lives. It is the art of embracing reality as it is without resisting, fighting, or wishing things were different. Acceptance does not mean resignation or giving up on hopes and dreams. Rather, it is the recognition that some things are beyond our control, and that peace comes when we stop trying to change what we cannot. When we accept our circumstances, ourselves, and others without judgment or expectation, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and create space for healing, growth, and joy. Often, we resist what is happening in our lives because we believe it should be different. Whether it's a setback, a challenge, or an unexpected change, our natural instinct is to fight against it, to feel that it shouldn't have happened, or that we shouldn't have to deal with it. But the truth is, resistance only creates more tension. It keeps us trapped in the past, in what we wish had been, or in the fear of what could be. The more we resist, the more we give power to things that are beyond our control. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows us to release that tension. It helps us to let go of the emotional weight of wanting things to be different, and instead gives us the freedom to fully experience the present moment. When we learn to accept, we open ourselves to greater peace. We stop battling with reality and start working with it. Instead of wasting energy on resistance, we focus on how we can move forward with grace and wisdom. This doesn't mean we stop striving for improvement or that we stop dreaming for a better future. Acceptance simply means acknowledging the current moment, however imperfect it may be, and choosing to approach it with calm and clarity. It is about finding peace within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances. In doing so, we stop giving power to the things that frustrate or worry us, and instead, we reclaim our own power by choosing how we respond. Acceptance also brings us closer to self-compassion. Often, we are our harshest critics. We set impossible standards for ourselves, expecting perfection, and when we fall short, we judge ourselves with a relentless inner voice. But when we practice acceptance, we learn to be kinder to ourselves. We understand that being human means making mistakes, facing setbacks, and having limitations. Instead of berating ourselves for not being perfect, acceptance encourages us to acknowledge where we are, to accept our imperfections, and to extend compassion to ourselves as we grow and evolve. It's in that space of acceptance that we can learn, improve, and move forward without the heavy burden of self-criticism. It's also through acceptance that we build stronger, more authentic relationships. We all have flaws and differences, and when we stop trying to change others or force them into our expectations, we allow them to be exactly who they are. Acceptance in relationships means recognizing and appreciating each person for who they truly are, without trying to mold them into something they're not. It creates a foundation of trust, respect, and understanding. When we accept others, we create space for deeper connection, where love and support can flow freely without judgment or conditions. This is the kind of relationship that allows people to feel seen, heard, and valued, not for who they should be, but for who they are in their fullness. Acceptance also helps us navigate life's inevitable challenges with more resilience. Life is full of unexpected twists, disappointments, and heartbreaks, but the ability to accept these experiences allows us to move through them with grace. Acceptance does not mean we become indifferent or apathetic to difficulties. Rather, it means we stop fighting them and allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel. We process our emotions without denying them, and we let go of the belief that we can always control outcomes. By accepting the natural flow of life, the good, the bad, and everything in between, we allow ourselves to heal and to emerge stronger from each experience. Furthermore, acceptance fosters gratitude. When we accept what is, we begin to see the gifts in even the most challenging situations. We realize that everything, even pain or struggle, holds the potential for growth, learning, and transformation. By embracing the present moment, we learn to appreciate the blessings that we might otherwise overlook. Acceptance shifts our focus from what is missing or wrong in our lives to what is already good and whole. This mindset opens us up to the simple joys of life and cultivates a deep sense of gratitude, because we no longer take things for granted, but instead recognize the beauty in everything as it is. At its core, the power of acceptance is rooted in the understanding that we are not in control of everything, and that's okay. Life is unpredictable, and we can't always control what happens to us or around us, but we can control how we choose to respond. Acceptance is a powerful tool that allows us to release the need for perfection, to stop fighting the natural course of events, and to find peace in the midst of chaos. It's about letting go of the need to change what we can't, and instead, embracing what is. In that space of acceptance, we find the freedom to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to grow more authentically. By accepting ourselves, others, and the journey of life, we unlock the door to greater peace, resilience, and happiness. It is the key to living a life of less resistance and more flow, one where we embrace life's imperfections and trust that in the end, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. At its core, self-care is about giving ourselves permission to pause, to rest, and to replenish. In a society that constantly demands more from us, more work, more productivity, more availability, it's easy to fall into the trap of neglecting our own needs. We often prioritize others or the tasks at hand at the expense of our own health. But without taking time to care for ourselves, we deplete our energy, our mental clarity, and our emotional strength. True self-care requires us to acknowledge our own value, to recognize that we are worthy of time, attention, and care just as much as anyone else. One of the most important aspects of self-care is learning how to set boundaries. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others, they're about saying yes to our own well-being. When we protect our time, energy, and emotional space, we honor ourselves and our needs. This means not overcommitting, not allowing others to take more than we can give, and being mindful of how we spend our time. Setting healthy boundaries ensures that we are able to give from a place of fullness rather than from a place of depletion. It helps us avoid burnout, resentment, and overwhelm, and instead fosters a life where we feel balanced, grounded, and in control. Physical self-care is equally essential. Our bodies are the vessels through which we experience the world, and when we neglect them, we risk losing the energy and vitality we need to thrive. Physical self-care goes beyond simply eating healthy or exercising. It's about listening to our bodies, giving them rest when needed, fueling them with nourishment, and engaging in activities that help us feel strong and vital. Whether it's a walk in nature, a yoga session, a good night's sleep, or just sitting still for a few moments to breathe deeply, taking care of our physical health is foundational to our overall sense of well-being. Mental and emotional self-care are just as crucial, yet they're often the most overlooked. Our minds are constantly bombarded with information, stress, and distractions, and we rarely take the time to slow down and check in with ourselves. Mental self-care involves finding ways to clear the mental clutter, to declutter our thoughts, and to focus on what truly matters. It can be as simple as taking a break from social media, journaling to process emotions, or engaging in mindfulness practices to bring ourselves into the present moment. Emotional self-care involves acknowledging and honoring our feelings, giving ourselves permission to experience emotions without judgment. It's okay to feel sadness, frustration, joy, or excitement. When we give ourselves space to feel what we're feeling, we allow emotions to move through us instead of bottling them up. In the pursuit of self-care, inner peace is one of the greatest gifts we can receive. Inner peace is the calm center we cultivate when we take the time to care for our whole selves. It's not something that happens by accident or through external circumstances. It's an inner state that we create intentionally through mindful choices and practices. Inner peace comes when we stop chasing after external validation, stop worrying about the future, and stop replaying past events in our minds. It's the ability to be present, to be grounded in the now, and to find serenity no matter what is going on around us. The pursuit of inner peace often requires letting go of control. We can't control everything that happens in life, and trying to do so only creates stress and anxiety. But when we accept that there are things outside of our control and choose to focus on how we respond, we begin to feel more at peace. It's about choosing not to engage in the drama or chaos around us, but instead choosing to hold on to our own sense of calm and clarity. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or challenges. It means choosing not to let them disrupt our inner harmony. By prioritizing our own peace, we create a foundation from which we can face life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. Self-care also involves nurturing our spiritual health, whatever that means for each of us. For some, this may involve prayer, meditation, or connecting with nature. For others, it may mean engaging in creative expression, practicing gratitude, or finding time for quiet reflection. Spiritual self-care is about reconnecting with our higher selves, with our purpose, and with the world around us. It's about cultivating a sense of meaning and fulfillment that goes beyond the daily grind, allowing us to tap into a deeper sense of peace and joy. Inner peace doesn't mean that life is perfect or that everything will always go our way. It's about finding stillness in the midst of the storm. It's about recognizing that peace is an inside job, something we cultivate through our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. The more we care for ourselves, the more we create a foundation of peace that we can return to. No matter what life throws at us, when we take care of ourselves, we're better equipped to handle stress, to be present with others, and to live with a sense of fulfillment and joy. Ultimately, self-care and inner peace go hand in hand. By prioritizing self-care, we create the space for inner peace to blossom. When we're well-rested, nourished, and emotionally balanced, we're more likely to feel at ease with ourselves and the world. We stop feeling overwhelmed by the demands of life and instead move through the world with calm, clarity, and confidence. Self-care is the practice that allows us to align with our true selves, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to cultivate the peace that is always available to us when we take the time to nurture our bodies, minds, and spirits. Transformation is one of the most powerful aspects of the human experience. It is the story of moving from a place of struggle, fear, or limitation to a place of growth, strength, and empowerment. These stories are filled with moments of breakthrough, resilience, and renewal. They remind us that change is possible and that no matter where we start, we have the ability to transform our lives and our circumstances. Transformation is not always easy. In fact, it often arises from adversity. But it is in those difficult moments that we find our true strength and discover new depths of courage and possibility. One of the most profound elements of transformation is the way it can happen from the inside out. Many times, the external circumstances of our lives may not change immediately, but as we change how we think, feel, and respond, we begin to shift the very energy that surrounds us. Take, for example, someone who has struggled with self-doubt and insecurity. Through years of negative self-talk and fear of judgment, they may have felt limited by their own thoughts and beliefs. However, through personal reflection, therapy, or spiritual growth, they start to see themselves differently. They begin to recognize their worth, embrace their imperfections, and shift their mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. As they transform on the inside, they begin to show up in the world differently. They start taking risks, setting boundaries, and stepping into their own power. Slowly, the world around them begins to reflect the change they've made within themselves. Then there are stories of physical transformation where the body becomes a symbol of strength, healing, and perseverance. For many, this type of transformation involves overcoming an illness or injury, or perhaps breaking free from unhealthy habits and addictions. Consider someone who has spent years battling chronic health problems, feeling hopeless or resigned to their condition. After many doctor visits, failed treatments, and feelings of despair, they may reach a point where they decide to take charge of their health. It could start with something small, perhaps choosing to walk every morning or finally addressing the emotional roots of their illness. Over time, through commitment, dedication, and a shifted perspective, they experience a radical transformation in their health. Their body, once burdened by illness, becomes a source of vitality and energy, and they realize that their true power lies in their ability to care for themselves. There are also stories of personal transformation that revolve around the healing of relationships. Relationships are often mirrors of our own inner world, and when we are stuck in patterns of fear, anger, or resentment, it can create a cycle of conflict and disconnection. But when we choose to show up with vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to understand, relationships can transform in beautiful and unexpected ways. Consider a couple that has been on the brink of separation, caught in cycles of blame and hurt. Both individuals may feel as though they've lost sight of why they fell in love in the first place, but through open communication, forgiveness, and mutual support, they find a way back to one another. They begin to heal the wounds of the past and rediscover the love they once shared, not because they've changed who they are, but because they've transformed how they engage with one another. The relationship becomes deeper, more connected, and more aligned with their true values. The beauty of transformation is that it's not always a linear journey. There are moments of doubt, setbacks, and challenges, but it's through these struggles that we learn the most about ourselves. In fact, these moments of difficulty are often the very experiences that lead to the most profound growth. It's in the moments when we feel like we can't go on that we discover the depths of our resilience. Transformation often comes with discomfort. Change can be unsettling and uncertain. But as we embrace the discomfort and move through it, we find ourselves emerging on the other side stronger, wiser, and more connected to who we truly are. Living in the present is one of the most transformative and liberating practices we can embrace. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with distractions and pressures, it can be easy to lose ourselves in the past or the future, to dwell on mistakes we've made, or to worry about what's to come. Yet the power of the present moment lies in its ability to free us from these mental prisons. When we fully engage with the here and now, we unlock a deep sense of peace and clarity that transcends the anxieties and regrets that so often hold us back. The present moment is also where we experience joy. Joy is not something that can be found in the past, nor is it something that exists only in the future. Joy arises when we immerse ourselves in the present, when we appreciate the little things that make life beautiful. It's in the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of laughter, the taste of our favorite food, or the feeling of our feet on the earth. These simple, everyday experiences are where joy lies. However, if we are constantly rushing or distracted by what's next, we miss these moments. By slowing down and savoring the present, we allow ourselves to experience life more fully and deeply. It is in the present that we find the richness and the magic of existence. In a world that constantly pushes us to look ahead, living in the present is an act of rebellion. It is a conscious choice to slow down, to be mindful, and to savor the now. By practicing presence, we reclaim our power to shape our experience of life. We no longer let time slip through our fingers. Instead, we honor each moment, making it meaningful, rich, and full of possibility. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. It means choosing to focus on what is right in front of us, giving it our full attention, and trusting that by doing so, we create a life that is vibrant, purposeful, and aligned with our deepest values. When we embrace the power of the present, we step into a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment.